All right. Thank you for tuning into the live Christmas stream for, what is it, July 13th, 2022. I was a little late getting a start on here. Sorry about that. I have to make a adjustment or two here. Let me make sure I'm all set up. Looks good. All right. So, kind of have no idea what I'm going into today. I was trying to rack my brain all day at work thinking about what I could do today, and nothing really came to mind. So, I think I'm going to just kind of randomly go off and draw a little elf, maybe making a toy or something like that. It's been one of those days where I'm just a little off, so I'm not too sure what to do here. But I'm going to do an elf, I guess. So we're going to start. There was a couple different ways I like to do elves. I kind of think of them a lot like a gnome, where like I'll just draw them. I'll just do a quick sketch here, like your classic gnome. But I always used to give them, some bigger noses and stuff like that. Difference between a gnome hat, you would just have it like that, or an elf hat, you might have the rim on it. It all depends what universe you're looking at, because the Rankin and Bass hats, they were basically a triangle with a strip of color there. Um, so those were elves, but this way you could also have a gnome and an elf, very similar. Got beards. Gnomes are working in caves, pulling gemstones and all that kind of stuff, or those are dwarfs. Who knows? But I think I'm gonna go with a different style elf. I used to do these little elves back in the day where they were just little heads like this, and they would just have round bodies, nothing like no shape or anything like that. Maybe a little bit of little legs coming out of them. Didn't really have any features except for pure white eyes. I don't know why I used to do them like that, but I used to give them really long hats, something like that. So I might just make a bunch of creepy little elf gnome guys here, making some toys. But I'm going to erase all of this stuff that I just sketched out there because that's not what I'm going for. So we're going to just start off. We'll have a little elf here that's going to be holding it. We'll make this guy holding a candy cane. Yeah, let's put him over here. We'll have him looking up at something, maybe handing him a candy cane or something like that. So this guy's just going to be standing back here. Arm's going to be up a little bit. We're going to give him the classic, give him a taller gnome hat, elf hat. I'm going to keep saying gnome now because that's what I had my mindset in, but we'll give him a big elf hat. Which now, speaking of elves and everything like that, it just reminded me of that one Christmas movie that came out a couple of years ago, that Disney movie, Prep and Landing. I might do something from that one of these days. I like those characters. They're pretty cool. All right, so this guy's gonna, we'll give him a nice round nose. He's gonna have the full beard, so you won't see any of that. We'll have a nice trimmed beard for this guy. We won't have him too shaggy. Maybe his ears are covered by his hat. Give him a little smile that you can see through the beard. Not sure how that magic works, but it does. So his hand's going to be here. And he'll be handing off a candy cane. Rough sketches. That's all we're concerned about here. So I'll make him a skinny leg elf like I used to do. Give him his elf shoes. Elf shoes are always curly in my world here. Maybe he'll be sticking his hand out looking for a payment for this. I don't know if he's getting paid for this candy cane, but we'll have him there. We'll make a little elf guy over here, maybe working on a toy. But I'm trying to think of what I should have this guy looking up at. Maybe it would just be like the edge of maybe Santa's jacket here, something like that. Maybe he's like leaning down. Got some shirt fluff there. Kind of a weird angle for Santa to be leaning at. He'd probably be a little bit bigger there, but that's all right. And we'll have him wearing his glove. Maybe he'll be chucking something into his hand, paying him for a candy cane. That'll work. Now over here we're gonna have. Let's see. I don't really know why Santa would be leaning over a tool bench here, but he is. So we're gonna have this guy working on something up here. Maybe like a classic toy that elves would always make. I guess would be a wooden train of sorts. So we'll have him working on a train. Put a little chimney stack on it. And this guy's going to be, maybe he'll be painting it because I don't know if he'd be really be hammering it at this point. So we'll have him with his little paintbrush here. Put some legs on this just for height so I know where this guy's legs are going to be. He's got his little tool belt here. Let's make this guy right-handed. Paintbrush. This guy will have your classic droopy hat. This guy a bigger beard. I think I'm going to give this guy these dead eyes that I used to do. I never really put noses on them back in the day, but I'll give him a little nose. He kind of looks like a skeleton there. If I outline it like this, kind of looks like a skull. But he's over there painting a train. Yeah, that looks pretty good. This is gonna be the shittiest drawing here, but hey, you'll have that. What are we at? July 13th. So more than more than half of the year of a daily drawing. Kind of run out of ideas. I do have a few in the folder here that I have to work on. All right, we'll go to some syrup here. We'll add another. I did add another layer already. And we'll start inking some of this in here. I did a drawing yesterday, and I used a gouache paintbrush when I did it, and I kind of like the way that turned out. So I think I'm going to use that one today for this as well. I have that Santa mask, that full head thing I was wearing yesterday. I was going to put it on today, but I ran out of time here when I was trying to set up. But I have it right behind me here. Let's see. Big Santa head. Put him off to the side there. I'm surprised it's not showing up on the camera, registering it as a face or something. All right, back to this guy. That's a nice tall hat. Again, he's going to have a nice groomed beard. This guy keeps his beard tight and trim. We'll give him his eyes. A little tired from the hard work of the month. Get ready for Christmas. I know he said he keeps a tight beard, but you got to have a couple stragglers there. What kind of currency he's looking for here? We'll make Santa a cheapskate, give him a couple of pennies here. Whenever I draw an elf shoe like this, I always contemplate what the elf's foot would look like under there, since it's a ridiculous shape and size, which now makes me want to sit here and just add another layer real quick and just sketch out what an elf foot might look like. So probably have a little bit of an ankle. Definitely has a high arch, judging by those shoes. Kind of looks like like a weird cat's foot. All right, maybe that's what an elf's foot looks like. And the extra shoe up top, I don't know what that's for. All right, let's get Skull Gnome over here. I think I'm going to leave him a skull. I guess you could say Santa worked him to the bone. All right, we got some nice beardage going on here. I don't know how a beard would grow out of a skull, but it would. Again, skull, but he's still tired. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a gut here. Maybe it's hanging off the tool belt. Then this part, let's see, it would kind of probably look weird. There we go. And his paintbrush. Gonna have to erase. Whoops. I don't realize I have the eraser on that large. Not sure what I was erasing last time, but erase a little bit of that for his fingers here. Then we'll put the bristles on. We'll have a nice glob of paint on there. A little bit of a fresh coat of paint on top of the train. All right, we'll put his little little table up here so he has a place to work on. Then we'll go revisit this random out of nowhere Santa that I put up here. Just making these legs a little crazy here. All right, now let's see about this Santa here. See if I could figure something out here. All right, so we're gonna have his arm. We got that. We'll give him a bit of a bend there from chucking some coins. And I think that's great. I have no idea what this picture is even all about, but we're going to roll with it. So we're going to erase the pencil lines, reference this line. I think I'm going to do a different kind of thing for the background. I'm going to add some blur to it so it's kind of blurry in the background so you don't really get to see what's going on back there. Kind of a cheap technique, but it is what it is. So now, like I said, I was using the gouache brush. I believe that was in painting. Yeah, gouache. And gouache is basically like a mix between watercolor and acrylic. It's kind of in between. Here's what it would look like if you laid it down. So it kind of has that watercolor flow to it. And then the harder you push or the more you go over it, something gets darker. And it's not solid like how the syrup, when I use those, let me go back to that and show you. So if I use a syrup brush, it's solid. Gives it more of a cartoony look. Where this one gives it more of a watercolor acrylic type of look. All right, so let's color this guy up here. We're going to give him a bit of a rosy pink nose. Got to make sure my brush size is correct here, otherwise we'll get bleed. Now the difference is when you're using a brush like this, you will get see-through bleed. So like for example, just say I painted something there and now I change color and I'm going to do his hat green. You're going to see that pink through the green. See? Might be hard to see on the screen, but it's there, trust me. You can see it a little bit better when it's blocked, shrunk. But you'll get that. You'll get some bleed through, which is no big deal. But we're going to give him let's give him a blue hat, but we're going to add some stripes to it. And maybe you'll see that there. So now if I want to only get the paint in the hat and not anywhere else, I could do the select automatic and then select it. So now everything blue there, it's the only place the brush is going to show up. So I can make that as large as I want. If I just paint it like that, that kind of still gives it that cartoony look. So maybe I won't select that just so I get more of a natural, if it comes out of the lines, it's okay with me type of thing. All right, so if he has a blue hat, let's give him some yellow stripes. We'll make it a little bit shorter. And then let's give him some light green clothing. And again, if I were to go over some of the spots multiple times with this brush, it's going to get darker. Give him... This guy's just all over the place with his outfit, but we're going to give him some red pants. We'll stay on the red while we're here with the candy cane. Go down to his shoes. Let's give him a brown elf boot shoe. Then let's pick a skin tone for him. He'll have a white beard competing with Santa there. Now we'll go over to Skull Gnome. Let's give him the classic. Let's go purple with him. I think purple will look good on a Skull Gnome. elf, gnome. You know what I'm saying. We'll give him purple pants. Let's do. Let's give him an aqua shirt. We'll see how this looks here. That's pretty vibrant. Now this guy, again, is wearing the tool belt. Kind of pinching off his gut there a little bit. And let's pick a skin tone for him, even though he's a skull. Let's give him the tool bag, tannish brown color. And then we'll go down to his boots. Let's give him a dark blue boot. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And then we'll head over to the table. I know my ultimate goal when I started doing a daily Christmas drawing, I was going to do some where it was not as obvious. So I got to start doing some of those just so I don't get so burnt out. So that's what I'm going to focus on a little bit more over the next couple of days, I think, is doing one that's not so in your face Christmas and maybe just something hidden in a picture. That way I could also work on drawing things other than blatantly Christmas type pictures, you know. All right, he's got some bright green paint. It's the only thing. We'll make the roof green. And then he was working on that. So that right now is going to be a wood tone because that's kind of what he's painting. And we'll give this guy some red wheels. And we'll go back to this brown for the brush here and lighter one for the bristles. All right, now we'll go over to Santa. Let's give him a nice dark green mitten. Let me make that brush a little bit larger here. And then we'll do a nice deep, rich red. That doesn't look too red. With this brush being the way it is, the first pass on it's kind of light. And I'll just go in and maybe erase some of the parts where I bled over a little too much. Clean up his hat a little bit. That'll work. And then we'll go with the coins. Make them gold as well. Oops, left that on a larger brush there. I'll keep it smaller. That'll fill them in a little nicer. Now we're going to add a shadow layer, do some shadowing, and then we're going to call this dumpster fire finished. Could add a little bit of shading to it without it looking too weird. Try to blend that around a little bit so it doesn't look as hard edged. Sometimes a hard edge looks good on things, but other times it doesn't fit what you're going for. All right, now we're going to add another layer to go underneath everything. Add a little bit of a shadow under some stuff here. Just to give some things a little bit of depth. I'm going to go back to my reference layer, ink. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit and then just add a little bit of flare to this guy. I was thinking of erasing some of the junk in his eyes, but I'll leave it. All right. Just kind of curious what what the whole scene's all about. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas what you want the scene to be about, you can let me know. Go back to this gouache paint for a second, just to fill that in a little bit. All right, background. Let me see what I could do here. So if I add another layer and put it behind everything, theoretically I should be able to play around with the background a little bit and not have it affect the drawing. But with it being that gouache paint, you might see through it. So we're just gonna mess around with this a little bit here. So let's pick. Let me see. I found this cool set of brushes here the other day. Let's do a canvas look. How about that? So if we do a canvas in we'll say like a tea-stained yellow type of a thing, we'll make it super large, but a little opaque. And let's see what this looks like. Yeah, see, it affects everything because I left that open. But I want to zoom in on that and see what that looks like. I might shrink it down a little bit. Let's see. I mean, it has a texture to it, but I don't like what it did to the painting there. So I might try this to alleviate some of that bleed through. So if I do it like that, then I brush it. We're going to lighten it up a little bit, and we'll see how this looks. Now, this shouldn't affect anything since I kind of went over it, but I'll just do a little. Yeah, that looks good. So now I think we're just going to sign it and call this one finished. Sorry, it's not my typical thing where I kind of come in here knowing what I'm going to do, but sometimes it is what it is. So we'll add the signature. Today's the 13th, right? Yeah. I only said that probably 20 times this episode. And there you have it. The weirdest picture I think I've drawn on this feed is an elf making Santa pay for a candy cane while another dead elf paints a train. Yep. So sorry about that, but that's what you get. So I will be here again next week. I'll be a little more put together, so I'll have something in mind. And make sure you're sticking to the the Instagram feed over there. Daily pictures are getting put up there. I put up maybe one of my favorite ones yesterday, so you'll have to check that out at Ague Designs, AGUE DESIGNS on Instagram. And I will be back next week. Thanks for watching.